Hello and welcome to another new episode of The Bike Show that this week will involve a little trip down memory lane, almost literally. We've been busy organising some cool head-to-head tests, including KTM's little gem, the 890 Ducar, against the impeccable class and manners of Triumph's Street Triple RS. But while the logistics of that and other tests get sorted, I thought I'd take the opportunity to start this week's episode with a bit of news because there's been a fair amount going on since I last brought you any updates. Let me start with an international racing legend. A racing legend, and I know we use this term far too frequently, but this bloke really is a legend. He's dominated a world championship so utterly and so completely that only a very small handful of racing greats can lay claim to anything so impressive, although it has to be said two of them are currently still riding in MotoGP. This fella's from Ballymena in Northern Ireland. He's the six-time world superbike champion, and he is, of course, Johnny Ray. He may have few who can touch him on a circuit, but on the open road he's newer to the biking world than the freshest newbie. He only passed his test a few weeks ago, and so of course he's gone and bought himself his first road bike. No prizes for guessing the manufacturer, but what do you think this racing great chose to grace his trophy-laden garage? The monstrous H2, or perhaps the naked one, the ZH2? Maybe he'd like to have an environment he's at least vaguely familiar with, in which case the ZX10R is surely within his budget. Or maybe he'll surprise us and go completely sensible with a Versys, or maybe some sort of chilled ride with a Vulcan. If you guess naked, you would be right, with a strong hint of yesteryear. The very lovely Kawasaki Z900RS has a chuffed new owner in the shape of a record-breaking world champion.
Oh, what a ride. Man, that was so cool. My first ever road ride on my own bike, and yeah, what a bike it is. I had no experience. I never test rided the bike, so I didn't really know what to expect. I was just going from pictures and video that I just wanted something from the Z range, something a bit edgy and cool, street urban, and yeah, Z900 was mint.
It's a nice wheelie bike is the RS, so I fully expect to see footage of him stood up on the thing pretty quickly. If you want to follow more of what's on his excellent YouTube series, including perhaps the potential wheelie we just mentioned, search for Jonathan Ray on YouTube and you shall be rewarded with some regular entertaining behind the scenes exposure of a nice bloke who also happens to be at the very pinnacle of our sport. We don't seem to talk about Honda much in the news these days, especially here in South Africa, where far from all of its models are available. But there are rumblings of new models from the Big H that should have an appeal to just about anyone who's interested in two wheels. If you're in the market for a big sporty road tourer, the likes of BMW's S1000XR or perhaps even the F900XR, then rumours of an impending model featuring a version of the Africa Twin motor could be worth noting. Starved of most of the stalwart VFR range for some years now, there's definitely some space in the lineup for a big capacity all-rounder. I first saw this as a concept at the last EICMA Expo in Milan, and if I remember correctly, it featured a 4-cylinder motor then. Yeah, cunning disguise, but rather than a modified blade motor, there is the engine out of the Africa Twin. Oh well. Staying with Honda, but bringing the price down considerably, consider this new model that extends the NC750's family good looks to less swollen wallets. Both Don and Bill rode the new 750 recently and really rated it, so maybe some of the goodness will make its way to the CB200X that would, in theory, if Indian prices are anything to go by, set you back just under 40,000 Rand. That will buy you a 184cc single-cylinder engine with a very modest 17 horsepower. which is more than enough for commuting duties, to be fair. With Honda's amazing reputation for engineering reliability, it could be a model we see in South Africa soon. An even more affordable model, electric this time, but still from Honda, is stirring things up in China, currently the only country in the world that's actually selling it. It's the UBE, or more probably the UB, and believe it or not, this cute bit of urban transport will only empty your bank account of a little over 7,000 Rand. Yep, half the cost of any top-of-the-range helmet will get you this two-wheel solution to the final mile of your commute. Okay, the performance from this little battery on wheels is small enough for there to be pedals for you to assist if you want a bit of extra top end. But there's 3 versions, the best of them offering a theoretical 80km range, which sounds very optimistic, but this is the mighty Honda we're talking about, so you never know. It has got just the one seat, which it will propel to a staggering 22 kilometers an hour. I'm sure some PlayStation hoodie type person will soon hack it with a phone and have it doing 80 kilometers an hour over an 8K range. Don can test that one. And now I'm going to squeeze in some gratuitously beautiful adventure riding views with the occasional glimpse of a highly anticipated new model from Husqvarna. This is another bike that I last saw in Milan at the end of 2019, but it was constantly mobbed for attention. Set up on a pedestal, it was difficult to get much decent video footage of it, but the overall positivity around the concept meant the wheels kept turning behind the scenes at Husqvarna. That concept is now production ready, and it is the Northern 901.
So it was extremely excited briefing to sketch a simple and progressive adventure bike that came from the roots of a rally bike.
The clay phase is the first time where we are confronted to reality.
Then there was the EICMA, end of 19, November. The show bike was presented and the reactions were just great. Everybody was excited to see the bike and they wanted to have it. So the decision from the board was, go for it, do it. The R&D guys tested a lot in Spain, but also in the Alps here, to do the widespread between comfortable and agility, street riding and off-road riding. We are doing 50,000 kilometers endurance test with several bikes, and there was nothing.
We wouldn't normally show so much promo material for a new bike, no matter the kind of buzz it generated. But what has persuaded us to listen to a bit more is the appearance of South African explorer Mike Horn, a man whose list of adventures includes regular feats of physical and mental endurance that would simply smash ordinary folk like the rest of us. Seems he can ride an adventure bike too.
I'm a guy that gets inspired by any idea that sounds exciting. I've climbed some of the highest mountains in the world without oxygen. I crossed the North Pole, I crossed the South Pole, I swam down the Amazon, I sailed 27 times around the world, followed the equator around the world. That took me 2 years unmotorized. I circumnavigated the Arctic Circle. That took me 808 days. So I'm a professional explorer, I would say.
Iceland offers everything that an adventurer can look for. To be on the bike and riding on these roads, the gravel roads, even the tarred roads with very little traffic, you've got this feeling of being free. Iceland offers you this feeling that you're going to places and that you're really alone. It excites me to be on a bike because you feel the wind, you feel the temperatures. In a car, we don't have those elements that we feel. So for me, to be on the bike is to be in the element of nature.
The Northern definitely looks interesting, but not as interesting as Iceland. What a place! It has to go on my ever-expanding bucket list of places I have to ride.